For generations, Social Security has been this bedrock of American life. It's this promise, right? That after a lifetime of work, there's a safety net waiting for you. But, and this is a big but, that promise is facing a huge challenge. So let's get right into it. You pay into it your whole life. You see those deductions on your paycheck every single time. But have you ever stopped to ask, what is Social Security really? We think we know, but the actual mechanics of the system and where it's all going, well, that's a whole other story. And it might just surprise you. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the way most of us think it works. The version that just kind of makes sense on the surface. The idea is super simple, right? It feels like your own personal retirement account. The government takes a slice of your paycheck, keeps it safe in a little piggy bank with your name on it, and then when you're ready to retire, they hand it back to you. It's a really comforting thought. The only problem? That's not actually how it works. Yeah, this is where that comforting idea we just talked about kinda crashes into a much more complicated reality. The system's true design, its actual blueprint, is something else entirely. Okay, so check this out. It's not a savings account. It's what's called a pay-as-you-go program. And that's a huge difference. The money coming out of your paycheck today, it's not going into a vault for your future. Nope. It's going directly into the bank accounts of people who are retired right now. Your retirement, that hinges on a whole new generation of workers paying their taxes when it's your turn. And look, this isn't some secret that just got figured out. People were calling this out from the very beginning. Back in 1938, a journalist named Isabel Patterson put it perfectly. She said the government wasn't saving the money, it was spending it and just putting an IOU in the cash box. Not cash, just a promise. And why was it designed this way? Well, listen to this quote from FDR himself. He knew exactly what he was doing. He said it was, quote, politics all the way through. By making sure every working American paid into it, he made the program politically untouchable. His logic was, no damn politician can ever scrap my Social Security program. It was built to last politically, not necessarily financially. Okay, so what happens when a system built like that, based on politics and immediate spending, finally runs up against the hard math of changing demographics? Well, you get a tipping point. You get a deadline. So let's walk through the history here real quick. The first checks go out in 1940. And for decades, everything is great. More money is coming in from workers than is going out to retirees. But then, 2018 happens. That's the year the system starts paying out more than it collects. And now, all eyes are on 2033. That's the year the Social Security Administration itself says the reserves, all those IOUs, are projected to be completely empty. Now, this is super important. When we say the funds are depleted, it doesn't mean the checks stop. That's not what happens. What it does mean, according to the government's own numbers, is that the money still coming in from taxes will only be enough to cover about 79% of what's been promised. So, unless something changes, everybody gets a benefit cut, a big one, about 21%. And don't think of 2033 as some far-off date where the problems start. The problem is already here. Just look at 2023. The system paid out $119 billion more than it took in. It's already running in the red, right now. So we've talked about the money, the math, but the sources we're looking at argue there's another side to the story, a bigger one maybe. They say the system has had these hidden side effects, these deep impacts on society itself. The argument goes something like this. By creating this massive government pension, the system subtly changed our culture. It maybe discouraged things like personal saving and frugality. It made depending on the government normal, even for the middle class. And maybe most profoundly, it shifted the core responsibility of caring for the elderly from the family to the state. Think about it. For almost all of history, your security in old age depended on your family, right? Specifically, your children. It was a built-in system of mutual support. But a public pension system kind of breaks that direct economic link. Now, security comes from a government check, not from your kids. And the argument is that this weakens a fundamental incentive for families to support each other across generations. And this leads to a pretty fascinating paradox, if you think about it. The whole pay-as-you-go system is completely dependent on having lots of new workers to pay in. It needs a big next generation. But by taking away the family's economic role in elder care, the system itself might actually be weakening one of the core historical reasons for families to have more kids. It's a real catch-22. So, okay, the math is pretty clear. The deadline is on the calendar. Why on earth hasn't this been fixed? Well, because in politics, trying to reform Social Security is famously known as touching the third rail. You touch it, you're done. And here's why it's the third rail. It comes down to who votes. Older Americans, who rely on the system as it is, vote in huge numbers. Look at 2020. 71% of people over 75 voted. Compare that to about half of the youngest voters. So if you're a politician, are you really going to risk upsetting a massive, highly reliable voting bloc? Probably not. But something has to give. Change has to come. So the sources we're looking at suggest a couple of guiding principles for any potential fix. First, target the need. Make sure the program helps the people who are genuinely in need, not just everyone regardless of their wealth. And second, whatever you do, do no harm. Make sure the fix doesn't accidentally hurt families or work or the fabric of our society. So what could that look like? Well, one idea that gets talked about is called means testing. Basically, you'd adjust benefits based on someone's other income and resources. But that's just one idea on the table. Other people talk about gradually raising the retirement age. Another big one is raising the cap on income that gets taxed, which would mean higher earners pay more into the system. There's no easy answer, and the real debate is about how to make it all add up without being unfair. So as we're staring down this 2033 deadline, you have to ask, is this just a looming crisis? Or is it maybe an opportunity? A chance to finally have the tough conversation we've been putting off for decades. A chance to build a system that's not just solvent, but maybe even better and more just for everyone.